Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered how the beautiful twin island nation of Trinidad and Tobago became the independent country it is today? It's a story of political evolution, a desire for self-governance, and the leadership of one remarkable man. Today, we are rediving deep into the history of Trinidad and Tobago's independence and getting to know its very first prime minister. So, let's get started. Trinidad and Tobago officially gained its independence from the United Kingdom on August 31st, 1962. But the road to that historic day was a long one. The movement towards self-rule started to gain serious momentum after World War II. Fueled by a growing sense of national identity and the broader decolonization movement happening across the globe. A key moment in this journey was the formation of the West Indies Federation in 1958. This was an attempt to unite several Caribbean islands, including Trinidad and Tobago, into a single political entity. However, the federation was short-lived, dissolving in 1962 after Jamaica decided to leave. With the collapse of the federation, the path was clear for Trinidad and Tobago to pursue its own sovereignty. By the way, if you're finding this history fascinating, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel. If you haven't already, subscribe and ring that notification bell so you won't miss our future deep dives into history. Thanks. Now, leading this charge towards independence was a figure who would become a titan of Caribbean politics. Dr. Eustace Williams. Let's take a closer look at the man known as the father of the nation. Eustace Williams was born on September 25, 1911, in Port of Spain, Trinidad. At a young age, his brilliance was undeniable. He was a dedicated student, and his academic prowess earned him an island scholarship in 1932 to attend the prestigious University of Oxford in England. This was a monumental achievement for a young man from a colonial background at the time. At Oxford, he excelled, earning a first-class honors degree in history. He didn't stop there. He went on to complete his Doctor of Philosophy, also at Oxford. His doctoral thesis, The Economic Aspects of the Abolition of the West Indian Slave Trade and Slavery, was a groundbreaking piece of work. It was later published as the iconic book Capitalism and Slavery. In this book, Williams argued that the British abolition of slavery was driven more by changing economic interests than by pure humanitarianism. This work challenged the conventional historical narratives of the time and cemented his reputation as a world-class scholar and historian. After his academic career, which included a professorship at Howard University in the United States, Williams returned to Trinidad and Tobago with a new mission: politics. He felt a deep calling to lead his people towards self-determination. In 1956, he founded a political party that would change the course of the nation's history: the People's National Movement, or PNM. The PNM's message resonated deeply with the population. Williams was a charismatic and powerful orator. He famously held lectures at what became known as the University of Woodford Square, a public square in Port of Spain, where he would educate the masses on history, economics, and the importance of decolonization. He empowered people with knowledge, famously saying, "To educate is to emancipate." His briefcase always by his side, and his hearing aid became iconic symbols of his scholarly approach to politics. His party, the PNM, won the general elections in 1956, and Williams became the chief minister. This was a crucial step. As chief minister, he began laying the administrative and political groundwork for a future independent nation. He navigated the complex politics of the West Indies Federation, and after its collapse, entered into negotiations with the British government for Trinidad and Tobago's full independence. These negotiations were successful, and on that landmark day, August 31st, 1962, the British Union Jack was lowered for the last time, and the red, white, and black flag of Trinidad and Tobago was raised. Dr. Eustace Williams became the country's first prime minister. Imagine the pride and hope that filled the air on that day. A new nation was born, with its destiny now in its own hands. As Prime Minister, Williams's tenure was long and transformative. He served from 1962 until his death in 1981, leading the country for nearly a quarter of a century. His vision for Trinidad and Tobago was one of a modern, industrialized, and educated nation. One of his major accomplishments was the focus on education. He believed that an educated populace was the key to national development. His government greatly expanded access to both primary and secondary education, making it free for all. This policy had a profound and lasting impact, creating a more skilled and knowledgeable workforce and opening doors of opportunity for generations of Trinidadians and Tobagonians. In the economic sphere, the Williams administration focused on industrialization. The Point Leases industrial estate is a prime example of his vision. This massive industrial park, focused on natural gas-based industries, became a cornerstone of the nation's economy. The oil boom of the 1970s brought significant wealth to the country. Williams's government used this revenue to fund massive social programs and infrastructure projects, including roads, hospitals, and housing. The famous phrase, "money is no problem," became emblematic of this era of prosperity. However, his time as prime minister was not without its challenges. In 1970, he faced a serious test to his leadership during the Black Power Revolution. This was a period of social unrest, fueled by concerns over racial inequality and economic disparity. The movement involved protests, marches, and a mutiny in the country's defense force. Williams declared a state of emergency to restore order, a move that was controversial, but which he argued was necessary to maintain stability. He responded to the movement's grievances by increasing local ownership in the economy and promoting black cultural expression. Throughout his political career, Williams was a towering figure not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but on the world stage. He was a staunch advocate for Caribbean integration and played a key role in the establishment of CARIFTA, the Caribbean Free Trade Association, which later evolved into CARICOM, the Caribbean Community. Now, let's talk a bit about his personal life. Dr. Williams was a very private person, and he kept his family life largely out of the public eye. He was married 3 times. His first wife was Elsie Ribeiro, with whom he had a son, Alistair Williams. His second marriage was to Evelyn Moyu, and they had a daughter, Erica Williams Connell. Erica would later become a public figure herself, serving in her father's government. His third wife was Dr. Malin Muksong, a dentist. Tragically, Dr. Williams outlived all 3 of his wives. He was known to be intensely dedicated to his work, often sacrificing his personal time for the affairs of the state. Dr. Eric Williams passed away in office on March 29, 1981. At the age of 69, his death marked the end of an era. He had led Trinidad and Tobago from a colonial outpost to a sovereign, relatively prosperous republic. In 1976, under his leadership, the country had transitioned from a constitutional monarchy to a republic, with a president as the head of state, further cementing its independence. His legacy is complex and still debated today. To his supporters, he is the visionary father of the nation who educated his people, industrialized the economy, and guided the country with a steady hand through its formative years. His policies created a strong middle class and laid the foundation for modern Trinidad and Tobago. To his critics, he was an authoritarian figure who centralized power and whose economic policies, heavily reliant on oil and gas, made the country vulnerable to fluctuations in global energy prices. They also point to the social tensions of the 1970s as a sign of his government's shortcomings. Regardless of unterschiedliche perspectives, its impact is undeniable. Dr. Eric Williams was a scholar-statesman of immense intellect and a political giant who shaped the destiny of a nation. His writings are still studied, and his political philosophy continues to influence the Caribbean. He dedicated his life to his country, and his story is inextricably woven into the fabric of Trinidad and Tobago. From a brilliant student at Oxford to the architect of a nation, Dr. Williams's journey, the larger journey of his people towards freedom and self-determination. The independence of Trinidad and Tobago on August 31, 1962, wasn't just a political event. It was the culmination of a dream championed and realized by its first prime minister. What are your thoughts on Dr. Eric Williams and his legacy? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading your perspectives. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical journey today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. Until next time, take care.